If Dak were to be tagged again in 21, his projected cap hit of over $69 million would be the largest cap hit over a two-season span for any player in the history of the NFL. And should the salary cap flatline, that figure could approach 20% of the team's salary cap next season. There's a lot to dive into here, and I am ready to do it. Ryan Clark is back with us today. Neek is here. But Dan Graziano, I'll start with you, our insider. What can you tell us about what was happening behind the scenes yesterday?
There wasn't a lot going on in terms of conversation yesterday between the Cowboys and Dak Prescott. I'm told there was a conversation. The Cowboys reached out to see if a deal could get done at the last minute, but at this point, each side knew where the other was. Neither was going to move significantly, and the time for dealing had sort of passed. It was as if the two sides were playing a game of chicken, and ultimately neither one of them blinked. We've been doing this for months. We know the numbers were there. The Cowboys were offering something in excess of $34.5 million a year. The first 2 years of the deal they offered would have paid Dak Prescott more than he's going to make on two franchise tags, from what I understand. The question was about years. Dak Prescott wanted to do a 4-year deal. The Cowboys wanted to do a 5-year deal. There were other issues obviously at play, but they never got to a point where they had agreement on a deal. And I think both sides came out of yesterday disappointed, but ready to go ahead, play the year on the franchise tag, and try and do this again next spring.
All right, Ryan Clark, I'm coming to you. To use the analogy that Dan just did, in the most famous game of chicken I can think of, which is in the movie Rebel Without a Cause, one of the cars goes driving off a cliff. And that car yesterday was being driven by the Dallas Cowboys, who screwed this thing up over the course of the last 13 months or however long this has been going on so badly, I hardly know how to put it into words. What do you think?
No, I think the exact thing. And listen, this game of chicken is going to get not only one of these cars derailed or running off the cliff, but I think both of them, because Dak Prescott is going to take his car and go somewhere else in a couple of years, and the Dallas Cowboys are going to be looking for a new franchise quarterback. I don't know why even have a conversation yesterday. This has been going on for over a year. I felt like we were having these same conversations about Dak Prescott and the Dallas Cowboys last year. And so now you look at this, he's going to play on this franchise deal. And I think this goes along the lines of a Kirk Cousins. He's going to get to the free market and find a better place for him, a better deal monetarily, and Dak Prescott won't be the franchise quarterback for the Dallas Cowboys for very long, if you ask me.
I agree. And so, Domonique, anyone who watches our show knows, we sort of jokingly, but somewhat seriously call you, the leader of his fan club. I'll just say it this way. Why aren't they taking bows for what they did here? They drafted a guy in the 4th round that no one, go back 4 years, find me anyone who was saying Dak Prescott's going to be a really good NFL quarterback. You won't, because no one was saying it. They developed him into a guy who is this. This should be like an organizational success story. Why, in your opinion, why is it the opposite? Why do we find ourselves, why do they find themselves where they are today?
This is ego. Like, it seems like historic mismanagement, and it's ego that's bleeding in, that wants to kind of manhandle or force Dak to take a deal that they're comfortable with, but not necessarily a deal that properly values Dak. You said no one wanted him. I was reading Bill Barnwell's piece this morning, and it reminded me that not even the Cowboys wanted him. They were trying to go after Paxton Lynch. So they got lucky with this special player who has given you top 5 quarterback level play for 4 years on $4 million contract, and somehow that's the guy you mess it up for? To me, you can't blame anybody but the Cowboys. Since 2016, he has the 5th highest QBR in anybody in the league from that period. If you put him under pressure, 6th highest QBR. If it's 4th quarter, 5th highest QBR. If it's on the 3rd down, it's 4th highest QBR. This man has been special for them, and somehow he's also the cultural leader and kind of emotional leader of that team, the guy that people follow. Somehow they've managed to alienate that player and not pay him. Of all the players that they've worked out contracts for, they've done the worst job on the most important one. I don't know how you can do anything but look at this and see it as institutional failure by the Cowboys.
Graziano, can you explain it?
I disagree. I think there's blame on both sides here, and I think to assign it exclusively to the team and to compare it to the Kirk Cousins situation just doesn't jive with the facts. Kirk Cousins was never offered a contract by Washington that Washington feared he would accept. All their offers were way below market value for Kirk Cousins. Dallas has offered to Dak Prescott. Domonique's going on, he's number 4 in this, he's number 5 in this, he's number 6 in this. The contract would have made him number 2 or 3 in terms of income. So you can't really say that the Cowboys aren't properly valuing the player when they made the offer they made. It just didn't end up being the exact offer that he wanted. And I think it's very difficult to say that the team should just give the player exactly what he wants, because at some point there's going to be a line. This is the same team that caved at the deadline or at the start of the season for Ezekiel Elliott last year, and they got criticized for that. I think you can criticize the Cowboys for not getting this done, but I don't think you can lay blame exclusively at the feet of one side or the other here. Again, it was a game of chicken. They both wanted it done. Neither got it done, and I think they both have to assess why and see if they can get it done this time next year.
Go ahead, RC.
You see, Dan's doing what people do on Twitter, right? He took me saying Kirk Cousins' name, and then he went to, because Kirk Cousins got this offer from Washington. Ryan Clark ain't say that. Ryan Clark said that Dak Prescott will be gone like Kirk Cousins is. I ain't say it was the same situation. And also, and nobody is saying that they should have given him whatever deal that he wanted. But you can't point to Ezekiel Elliott's deal, and if you're the Joneses, say, you know what, we messed up on that deal. Let's overcompensate by making sure that Dak Prescott doesn't get his money because we don't want to be talked about on Get Up. No, it's about doing a deal that works for your team, but also making sure you take care of your team's most important player, because you gave money to everybody else. Everybody else's deal was extremely easy, whether you had off the field problems, whether you were in Cabo chilling, whether you were eating chicken McNuggets when you came into the building. It didn't matter. If he wanted to give you a deal, Jerry Jones gave you a deal. So why all of a sudden, when it comes to this one particular player who has played extremely well, is there no bend when he seems to be the most flexible, bendable man writing checks in America?
Thank you for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.